we're facing a huge question. How should we verify that what we hear or read is actually true or can actually be taken as true? How can we trust it is the question. Well, when reading or listening to news reports, for example, it is essential to identify claims or ideas that are presented as facts. To do this, I think you will have to be paying attention to any suggestion or a statement that seems to be true. You may want to take notes on that. You may want to write it down so it doesn't escape your mind. But once you have this claim or idea, you could start a search in Google or any other browser of this idea. Like you practically copy paste it and try to see if there are more sources like showing you the same information, or you can do a smart search, okay, like Googling the key terms in order to find if there are more sources showing the same fact. Just make sure you check this claim in different sources of information. The more references that you find, the more credible the information will be. So to illustrate this point, I would like to take an article from Charlie Skies that says Trump's coronavirus quarantine rhetoric fuels a dangerously politicized pandemic. This is an opinion article published in the portal Think, which is a political website pertaining to the NBC News report. I think it is also important to mention that Charlie Skies is a conservative journalist who isn't particularly happy with Trump's administration. This article, Sky points out that both students and professors from Liberty University in Virginia returned the main campus despite of the effects of the pandemic on account of instructions of the president of the school, Jerry Falwell Jr. The reason why Falwell instructed this is because he thought that coronavirus was a strategy from Eastern governments to hurt Trump. So he doesn't actually think it was an accident. He believes it is something political. Okay, they want to attack Trump. They want to attack the USA economical system, political system, everything. Okay, it's a pretty heavy statement. In addition, well, he stated that 90% of his students are not at the age to be at risk, and that they don't have the conditions that put them at risk. So practically what he's saying with this idea is that, well, it is not true. He doesn't think that students are like easily affected by this virus, which is why they should come back to the school. They should come back to their classes. Okay, later on he just took it away. I mean, he got back. He drew back his words. Okay. So what's interesting for me is that in this whole article we have two ideas. Okay, the first one is that Eastern countries wanted to attack Trump, which is why they cast out the COVID-19. That he believes that China or North Korea, he hasn't made up his mind about that, sent the virus. Okay. But despite of that, we do see a clear intention of him blaming these countries. And as a result of this, he is justifying why students from Liberty University should come back, okay, to their regular classes. Now, it is rather difficult for us, or challenging to know if COVID-19 might actually be an attack to USA, which is why I'm not addressing this issue right now. However, well, we could actually cross-check the other claim that Falwell did. that 90% of students are not at the age to be at risk, and they don't have conditions to put them at risk. So let's see if young students are actually not at the age to be at risk of COVID-19. I would like to share with you the search quest that I did in order to find useful information to test this claim. But before showing you the sources that I read, I would like to share with you the strategy of finding information just for you to remember. It can be really useful when it turns out to find factual information, papers, articles, or any other kind of source of information that you can think of. So just take into account the keywords you would like to search or to have information about. So you write down the keywords, okay? In this case, were people infected, plus, this is really important when you are looking for information in Google, plus, and then you write the other keyword, which is COVID-19, of course, plus ages. And when you click on it or you search for it, well, you will have plenty of information related to those keywords. For example, COVID, they are going to highlight, if you notice, the keywords that you put in the search bar. So just consider this small tip when finding information in Google. Anyway, so this article was the one that I read about. It was from the WEF, okay, the World Economic Forum, and it is a report on the data United States have been sending to the world in order to notify the reports their levels of people have been impacted by COVID-19. And it turns out something really interesting. There are let's call it 3 categories in this report. The first one is people who have been in hospitals. The second one are people who have been in intensive care unit admissions. And the third one are the deaths, okay? So taking a look at that, this article shows us that actually the highest population who have been affected by this virus are people over 85 years old. But it doesn't mean that there aren't other people or some other people who haven't been affected by this. Actually, we have had cases of hospitalizations, as I was telling you, and admission into ICU, according to this report. And over the more than 500 people who have been hospitalized, 18% were people from 45 years to 84 years, and 20% were aged 20 to 44 years. Now, let us remember something. In the claim that we are trying to test or to research here to verify if it is true is that 99% of students who attend Liberty University, they are practically immune to these, okay? So it talks about actually a dangerous statement, because it is saying that people at that age, between 19 to 20 something, 24 or so, are actually immune. They don't have to panic. That's why they have to come back to university, to classes, right? So according to this report, in the United States, actually, 20% of people went to hospitalization just because of the virus. So that is one very first fact that allow us to say that what this guy is saying is actually not true. The second one are people who have been admitted in intense care. 36% of the people reported were between 45 to 64 years old, and 12%, of course, it is a lower number, or a lower rank better, were aged 20 to 24. Okay, so that's really huge, guys. That's something utterly incredible. Okay, the number of ICU admissions were reported among people 19 years or younger too have not been reported, sorry, which is great. Okay, so here we have a graph, for example. Okay, we have, for example, the number of hospitalization, ICU admissions, and deaths. Okay, and here we have the age groups. Okay, so we can see, for example, this bar chart represents the huge amount of people hospitalized between 20 and 44, and out of these we can interpret that this is the second highest number of people in hospitals. Okay, the first one is actually people from 65 to 74 years old, so that's quite something actually. Let's take a look at the ICU admissions here. So we have, for example, by comparison, that of course it is not the highest one, but at least it presents a huge number. For example, if we compare it with people from 45 to 64, it's just below the 20%. Yeah, sure. This is actually the number. Yes, it is actually quite lower than 45 to 64 people. So that's a huge number. And of course, we haven't had much deaths actually between 20 to 44-year-old people. But still, the point here is that there's evidence here that show us that actually people at this age, the very same age, this guy, what was his name? I forgot. I'm so sorry. I'm learning how to do this online, guys. I know you will understand this. Falwell, he said that people actually from the school, 99% of their students, they weren't actually contracting or at risk of contracting the virus, which is completely false. Okay, now I think I have another source here. Yes, I have. It is a Spanish source. It is from the scidev.net. This is a web page that presents search and reports and results from different studies carried out at a global scale. And what I found interesting here is that it talks about children who have been affected by coronavirus. Okay, it hasn't been like really high level, and especially because they have been the less studied, at least in China and other countries. But this study actually took that flaw and did something about it. So they started to search, and they are showing the report here. So practically what it is saying that in China, 1% of the cases confirmed were actually children younger than 10 years old, whereas in Italy, so far 1.2% of the cases were between children between 0 and teenagers of 18 years old. And this is what is really important. In the United States, the same group, 0 to 18 years old, it is 5%. Okay, so it directly contradicts the idea that we have 99% of alleged students not being at risk, Okay, so it is possible then to say that the fact that was presented by Mr. Falwell was actually not true. Okay. So guys, this is pretty much it. Thank you for staying the whole video. If you happen to have any doubts, just look at the video again. And well, now it is your time. See you.